I was probably 15. We were going to make some baked beans to go with our fresh fish that we were making. And so I went in, got the beans, looked around for a while. And I was like, I don't have anything I can open this can with. I went outside and I was like, Dad, hey, where's the can opener? And he's like, it's in the drawer. So I went into these drawers and I was like looking for like, I don't know, probably 10 minutes. He comes in and he's like, what is the problem? And I was like, there's no can opener. I don't know what to tell you. I can't open this can. And he goes to the drawer and he takes out this little hand clamp that I've never seen before. And he's like, what the fuck does this look like? And I was like, I don't know, pliers? And he proceeds to open the can with it. And I had never seen like a like a real can opener before. Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watch him! With Dan and Tony! It's like watching, yeah!
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony, the movie show that skewers the movies left and right, left and up and down and right. Starring Dan Goodsell.
Unlike this movie today, and I'm Tony.
Last name Jack or Zach or check your Zach.
All acceptable.
See, he always does that to me. I don't know how to say his last name, and so he says they're all acceptable.
It's like it's Z-E-K. That's how you would say it. Zach.
Check. Zach. I did say it that way.
You just change it. Zach, check.
Check. Just one,
two. Check, please.
What's the Rhino one? Oh, God, don't do that. So each week we get out the old microscope and the telescope and the scopy-scope, the oscilloscope.
The monocles, the bionicles. I'm never going to let that go.
And we take a movie and we put it to the test. We watch it and we talk about it. We dissect it. We look at it from every angle, mainly from like the editing and the soundtrack and the sound mixing, because we're both sound mixing guys. And then we sort of give it a rating on a scale of 1 to 700 on about 1,000 different points of light.
Almost none of that was accurate to the show.
Exactly. This show is full of lies. All lies.
I'm listening to you talk, and I was like, that's a show I would watch. This sounds great.
Finally, proper analysis of movies. So this week, Tony got to pick a movie, and he picked a doozy.
I can't tell if you say doozy like you liked the movie or you thought it was good for this podcast, or like me, you want to burn everyone who made this movie to the ground.
Let's start with top points. I won't say I hated this movie. There's lots of movies I probably hated more and were harder to watch, but I do think this is maybe the worst movie we've ever done.
Okay, good. I'm so glad that you feel that way. So for people who are not in our private lives, Dan was baiting me all week by like sending me these articles about people loving this movie, and like he's like just watching it so good, and I've been getting angrier every day of the week just getting ready for this. I even rewatched it a third time this morning, Dan, to really get ready to fight you on this. Oh, I've been hoodwinked.
So it's boss level, 2021, so it just came out, an hour and 34 minutes with 8 minutes of credits. That makes it an hour and 26
God, really?
minutes.
Is that it?
It is literally by far. It's funny because Tony said this is the most notes he's taken in a movie. This is the least notes I've taken in a movie because there's really nothing. Kazam had more meat on its bones than this movie. This movie, it's basically, truthfully, it's a 30, there's maybe 30 minutes of what occurs. It occurs differently in times, but there's really not a lot here.
Yes. And what's there is disappointing to me.
So what the main guy is Frank Grillo, who is the bad guy from the Captain America movies, who's like a SHIELD agent / Hydra agent. And man, talk to us about Frank Grillo, the actor.
I'll take you on a little journey because it begins in Winter Soldier, which is the first time that I've seen him, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's kind of cool."
Yeah.
And then he was in more of those movies, and each time he's in them less, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if that's because he's not very good, or if they just want to keep throwing him in because he is good." It can go either way for me. And so when this movie was like, when I saw this movie coming out finally, because it was in kind of like turnaround turmoil for a while. But when I saw this coming out, I was like, okay, cool. I think that means that he is good. I saw the trailer and I was like, this is my movie. My hype train for this movie was at a 10. And he at him in the trailer, I thought looked great. I was like, okay, he's like a darker Ryan Reynolds Deadpool in his voiceovers, and he's going to be kind of like an 80s action star, like stoic, muscular. And then I watched it and I was like, this guy has no charm. Can't deliver a joke. He's monotone almost the whole fucking movie. And then physically, let's talk about physically for a minute, Dan. First of all, his face is all messed up. I can get past that, I guess. I don't love his facial hair. I think he looks stupid. His hair is like 1.5 feet coif. What the hell is that? That's stupid. And then his poor skin, like this guy must have spent years in the sun. It's the leatheriest alligator skin I've ever seen in my life, but he's got some muscles. So, there's a silver lining.
So you don't like his look. Is that
I don't like his look. I don't like his acting. I don't like the lack of emotions. I don't like anything that he does in this movie. Anyhow.
So, now have you watched the Andy Samberg Palm Springs movie?
Of course.
Did you like that movie?
I thought it was decent. I didn't think it was great. I thought that there was plenty of problems with it, but I thought at least it was fun for a while.
Okay, yeah, I think I was kind of with you there. I watched probably maybe 40 minutes of it.
Okay.
And then I just dislike him so much. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And I was going to make one point about Andy Samberg is I don't find him funny at all. And I think he's the guy that proves the point of actors. I mean, comedians I think are some of the greatest actors. When a comedian steps back and starts acting, it's usually incredible because of what they've learned through comedy. Andy Samberg, I think, has learned nothing about acting through comedy because he's always exactly, it's like Uncut Gems, Sandler.
Yeah.
He was really good in that. I didn't like that movie.
Yeah, superb.
Because it wasn't a movie for me.
Is it too much?
Yeah, it's too much.
Is it too much for you?
Yeah, that movie was too much for me. And I was like, I get what you're doing, but that's not the kind of movie I'm into right now.
I don't want to watch it. No. I get it, and I'm good.
I don't want to be punched in the face for 2 hours. I mean, I got punched in the face for an hour, and I was like, I get it. He was great in it. And you were like,
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he showed you what a comedian, he can't act in his own movies, but when he's really acting in a real movie, incredible. Samberg can't act in a movie, or at least he chooses not to. He chooses to go back to exactly what he does.
And well, I mean, in his defense a little bit, I'm sure that's what they ask him to do because it seems to work. People like it. People watch. I mean, look at Brooklyn. Was it Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Yeah. People love that show. I can't stand it because of him. Like if anyone else was in that lead role, I think I would love that show because I love the rest of the cast. I just can't handle a show that's mostly centered around him.
Yeah, and I mean, because I'd never really watched that show, and I just watched the pilot, and it's like it's the same girl, right? Chelsea Peretti.
Yeah, Chelsea Peretti.
She's great. She proves that a comedian can step in there and actually act and also be comic, and so. Everyone in the 9-9 cast shows you what he doesn't know how to do. And so it's kind of weird.
It's a constant reminder.
So I've seen that. And then I just rewatched Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise one.
Yeah. Live, Die, Repeat. Depends on when you came on board with the movie. It changes titles.
When you watch that movie, you understand what's wrong with Boss Level. That movie shows you everything that's wrong with Boss Level because what's his name has some conflict in this movie, and it never really affects him.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
So basically, the movie is he's in a Groundhog Day situation, and all these assassins are out to kill him.
Yeah.
That's the basic setup, and
which to me sounds awesome. Like if I was in a room and someone pitched that to me, I'd be like, yes, sign me up. I'm in. That sounds fun. Because what I'm going to get are some crazy deaths over and over. And then what I should get is like a 20 to 30 ending scene where he kills 15 assassins like expertly. Like John Wick, he should like John Wick the shit out of the last act of this movie because he's spent so much time learning how to fucking kill everybody. And we don't get any of that. We got none of that. In fact, the end of the movie, they decide, you know what? Forget about the assassins, even though that's been what the movie's been about. And instead, he needs to get somewhere in 8 minutes. That's what the movie's really about. What the fuck? Sorry, sorry. I'm getting ahead of it.
And there's a kid. There's a kid involved, and a ex-wife involved, and it just gets more and more. And the one thing about this movie, which is sort of skipping to the end, is in Edge of Tomorrow, you get to the one where he loses the power, and you're all like, now shit got real. So
like, yeah, he might die.
In Edge of Tomorrow, every time he dies, he does not want to die. Even though he knows he's coming back, he does not. Nobody wants to die. You don't get used to dying. You're not just like, oh, it's a casual thing.
Yep.
In this movie, from literally minute one, his dying is taken with casual. He's taken casually, so he's truly affected by nothing.
Yeah, we start the movie with him already basically given up. Like I don't care.
No, he hadn't given up yet. No, we
see. I will argue with you on that, but you know what? Let's get into the play-by-play.
Yeah,
and I'll explain my point when we get to the bar scene.
So we start at his 140th time. So. He sort of explains it like he's stuck in a video game, and so
which is already stupid because he doesn't play video. He knows nothing about video games. We learn later. So why would he himself compare it to a video game? And then the whole movie is named after the boss level, but he doesn't know anything about video games. There's just some video games in it at some point. I'm very upset by that.
Well, and more importantly, there is no actual boss level in this thing.
No, again, they skip it. Like the boss, he even says it in the movie when he's like, I'm ready for the boss level. And all of the assassins are coming down the hallway. And instead of a cool fight, he just shoots them behind a door like a fucking coward.
For no reason, too. Also for no reason.
No, none at all. None at all. Other than they were just like, you know what? I don't want to make more movie. Let's just kill them all at the same time.
So he's in bed with a woman. And then this guy attacks him with a machete. Then he dispatches him. Then there's a helicopter with a machine gun, which he dispatches. Then he jumps out the window.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan.
Yeah.
Is Gronk the guy in the helicopter?
Gronk? Who's Gronk?
Like the New England Patriots old tight end? Now, I guess Tampa Bay or whatever.
That was not. I don't believe so. I mean, it could be, but it didn't look like Gronk to me.
I don't know. Okay. Continue.
Yeah. Gronk he's a little more specific looking than that guy. And
okay.
If you did have Gronk, we probably would have seen his face, and that would have been a joke, I would think, based on how dumb this movie is.
When the first time appeared, like showed up, and he was behind that gun, I was like, "Is that him?" Maybe not. It's fine.
Yeah. So he jumps out. Then there's a minivan with two women in it, and then he accidentally gets killed by a bus, which he sort of forgets about in 140. And so then we sort of go through then we sort of mix up and sort of deal with all the different assassins, and but
we don't really deal with any of them.
No.
And that's my problem. My overarching problem with this movie is that it sets up like a set of assassins with particular skills and like different personalities, and then we basically see none of them except for Guan Yin, who I hate.
Guan Yin's pretty interesting because Guan Yin uses a sword, and then at one point, when it's all the assassins together, she pulls out a gun and shoots him.
Yep.
Which you're like,
what?
Why is
she doesn't even have a gun, as far as I know?
Why using a gun if she's an assassin? And these characters are treated very much like their video game characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it's very strange. So we have Guan Yin, Chinese assassin. We have a dwarf who's the bomb guy who also uses a gun at one point when they do that. We have Roy number 2, who's a guy that looks exactly like him. We have 2 African-American guys. Then we have this hillbilly guy that does a drag you behind a truck, which is super racist. Let's not talk about that because that's super racist. Whatever. Then we talk about his wife. Of course, he pulls out a picture.
Hold on, Dan. Yeah. Wait.
Okay.
Wait. I was waiting until you finish this section because I have a problem with the whole overarching intro to the movie before we get to the flashback.
Okay.
So the first day he wakes up and does like this elaborate, which I think is poorly choreographed, but whatever, elaborate fight scene with the guy with the machete, right? Yes. So, he's doing that. He's like, dodge.
He knows all the guys' moves. And so he's basically smoking a cigarette while this guy swings.
Yeah, and that's the first day that we see him. The second time he wakes up in this intro sequence, he just stabs him in the stomach right when he wakes up. What the fuck is the point of the first fight if that's not how he has to do it every day? If there's different ways to kill this guy, then I don't care. I don't need to see any of that. If he's learned to just dispatch him within 8 seconds, then that's what you should go with. Because it's dumb to do anything else. Like, why would he waste his energy fighting this guy when he can just kill him right away? I don't like it.
Because the filmmakers wanted a sexy thing where you like, oh, he's learned all the moves.
And I like that. That's my problem, is that's how it should be. He should have to like go through the same moves because there should only really be one way to survive the day. Like generally that's how these rules work in time loops, is you have to do the exactly right to make it through to the next day. This movie doesn't do that at all. This movie's like, I mean, you can do whatever you want really, as long as you just go back into the machine. What?
Yeah. I mean, this movie it breaks a lot of the rules like that. Like the stupid minivan thing is like they're 5 minutes early at one point, and you're just like, well, how did they get there 5 minutes early in this one? That doesn't make any sense.
Like, how does he survive anything? Because the day changes. Like that's just not how these things work, Dan. It's the same day, and you have to learn to beat it. You have to learn to beat the boss level. But instead, we're not going to do any of that. Anyhow, I'm sorry.
One of the other things that's fine. This is what's going to be fun about this one, is you going absolutely out of your mind. Is the girl. He's in bed with a girl, and it wasn't until like an hour into the movie that you actually see that she runs out his front door and gets away.
Yeah. Yeah, the first like 18 times you see it, she just is gone. Like he's machete, and then all of a sudden they cut to a wide and she's gone. It's like, what? Wait, what? What's going on here?
Where'd she go? Which is very strange. You've taken what is primarily a main character, and then you've used her for nothing, and you're like, I don't understand.
Let's put a pin in that idea, because it circles back to another problem I have during that reveal that she's important.
Ooh, yeah, that's not going to go well. So he has a British doctor ex-wife who loves him, and somehow fell, like one of those things where like, yeah, this woman would be with this guy. Seems unlikely.
Right.
And so she's working for Mel Gibson, who's this Colonel Clive guy who is like one of the worst used characters. I mean, you've paid for Mel Gibson and you've used him for nothing.
I mean, obviously Mel is still in movie jail, so I'm sure like that's part of why he's taking these roles. Right?
Oh, sure.
But if you get Mel Gibson, even in this day and age, try amazing. To fucking use him. Like the guy's got some talent, and he can play the bad guy pretty well. He's not a great person, so like let him be a bad guy.
he looks great. That voice, I don't know.
What a waste.
He ends up in Ken Jeong's bar, and you're just like, and we just now we have this whole weird thing where we have all this exposition where we're going to set up these characters that are going to come back and play in an hour, and so Ken's an asshole. Then there's this other guy there who's like a super security expert who does whole weird bit,
good old Dave,
which is really painful. And then Michelle Yeoh is sitting there, queen of the martial arts is sitting there, and you're like, wow, okay. And then she just disappears instantaneously.
Yeah. As soon as she walks in, you're like, oh, she's going to be a big part of this movie. Yeah. Because again, you get like a really great actor and then just basically waste them. Just throw them aside, cast them out, and be like, well, as long as your face is on screen for a little bit, people will show up. And also, let's just talk a little bit about the fact that it's, what time is it? Like 11:30 in the morning when he gets to the bar? It's something like he never gets past like 11:47 or something. So
he gets there at like 11.
Almost every single day, Dan, he quits before noon. He quits his job of trying to beat the day before noon and gets fucking trashed. That's how he ends the days. What? I don't want to see a character that already does that. That's what I mean by like, we started where he's already given up. He only tries for a little bit and then he's like, boy, I'm tired. I'm going to go get as drunk as I can, tell stupid stories about the other times that I've died and lament over the fact that I'm stuck in this. Like, come on, give me a guy to root for, make him then go through something where he kind of gives up. Sure. And then he redeems himself. Don't make me start with this fucking loser.
He's a loser and he proves he's a loser hard. So that everybody shows up at the door at the same time, and you're like, this is weird. And then they all just shoot him, and he's dead. You're like, it's one of the few weird things in the movie that actually has an explanation of sorts, which I'll give him that. So
I'll give him that.
Now we go to the day before, the day that he does it. We meet the wife. She's working on the super secret project. He's just a giant dick towards her. It's really weird. She's like,
and
measuring
he's not like a charming dick. I know that's what they're going for. They're going for like, oh, he's witty and sarcastic, but he's just kind of an asshole. I don't understand why people are like so in love with him. I find him to be like a charmless, soulless asshole.
Yeah, he's a member of Hydra.
I don't know.
He's not the good guy. He's the member of Hydra.
Through and through, this guy is Hydra.
Yeah, and I wrote here, they have a kid, ? He's a bad dad, just an asshole. That's what I wrote. Because he's just an asshole. It's not like, oh, did you get the check I sent you? He never... Right. He never even does like, oh yeah, the Secret Santa gift I sent to him. There's like
doesn't even do the bare minimum.
No.
He knows nothing about the kid. And then again, I'm going to jump just for a second because on this point, when he takes the time to get to know his kid, it's only like 2 weeks. It's like 14 or 20 days or something like that. And that's him getting to know his kid. Like, bro, you've missed 8 years. Spend some time with the kid. That's just me.
Yes. I mean, and that would be the whole thing is if he went through all these trials and tribulations, at the end you felt like he wasn't an asshole, but you still feel like he's an asshole.
Great. Yeah. Nope. Yep. Doesn't redeem at all in my eyes.
So the Colonel is sitting in his office watching her do all of the things to set him up into the situation and listening in on everything. And he knows everything about her life, but somehow she like sneakily, not sneakily, like
not at all,
like basically, inputs all of his information into the machine, which doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. My question, Dan, is maybe does Mel not know how it works? Like, does he have no clue what's actually happening on the other side of the door? And he's like, I wonder what she's building, because otherwise he literally watches every step she makes and knows that she turned it on. And yet in the movie, he always acts like he doesn't know.
He says in the speech, I'm going to go back in time and fix everything, which is really weird because he's not the guy that seems like he would go back in time to fix everything.
No, for sure not.
He also doesn't, it's like, well, if he's really, they don't really show how he's evil other than he wants control of this thing. What they should have done at some point, he's like, I'm not going to go back in time and fix everything. I'm going to go back in time and make everything worse. I'm going to bring Hitler to dance at my wedding or something. And
there's no real evil plan here.
There's no evil plan.
It's weird.
There's just a powerful device that he wants control over. And you're like, well, I guess the subtext is he will use it for some sort of evil, even though he says he's going to use it for good. But we can kind of tell.
Even though he literally tells us the opposite. And then I don't know.
So after we have all the setup where we know everything that's happening and we understand everything that's happening, Dum Dum still does not understand that she set him into doing this. He doesn't understand that the machine that's sitting there is doing this. And we in the audience have known it since minute one of him walking in and seeing the big machine. And they're kind of like making him even dumber than he is as a dumb person.
Correct. And in that scene, she's like, Osiris, remember, Osiris. Like she says the name like 8 times, and she tells him she sent him something. She's like, hey, did you get the package I sent? And then we cut to like try 141 or whatever, which is the present. And it's the first time that he's looked on his counter for a package? One of the last things your ex-wife said to you before she was murdered is that she sent you a package and that it's important. And it took you 140 days to even look at it. What a schmuck.
It's only about 6 months of time, Tony. I mean, actually, by that 6 months of time, he probably forgot what she'd said to him. Because, 6 months.
Well, that's why it's ridiculous. All of a sudden,
my
he just
wife
remembers.
had told me 6 months earlier.
Man.
So now he's in this weird bar with some other woman who the bartender was acting like we were supposed to know who she was.
I mean, she was, yes, 100%. And not only that, but she is like super familiar with our lead guy and is like, you should take her home. She's a good one. So is she a part of the plan? Because she almost forced him to bring this woman home. I'm very confused.
She did not force this. He would have stuck his dick in any hole that he could find. She's so horrible. So it's just, she's French. I don't know. It was like one of those weird casting calls that you're like, I should have looked into that to find out what the hell was going on there. So the wife calls and he like doesn't answer the phone.
Well, sure. I mean, he's getting some. You don't answer your ex-wife's phone call during that.
Yeah, and then he's having sex with her. Oh, then at 141, he finally remembers the present. 144, he's reading it. So he sleeps with this woman. And then he finds the kid. How did he find his kid?
He didn't really find the kid. He was just happened to be at an underground station of some sort because he was like, I need to find a private place to read. And then his kid just happened to be there. They must be in a really small city, Dan.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Somehow he randomly runs into his kid who's playing hooky at this video, this 8-bit tournament festival in this weird place.
Yep.
And then we have like the weird guy that sells him a ticket, has a whole diatribe that you're just like, wow.
And I don't know why. It's not funny. It's not interesting. I don't get it.
Well, it's interesting. These are all writer diatribes. They're all like things that the writer has always wanted to say. Like I have this thing about the word but, and it's a thing that I put into one of my things just because I wanted to get it in there. And that's what stupid writers do, myself included, is we have these points that we want to make. And if we make them in the right movie or thing, people are going to love us because they're going to be like, oh my God, you did that speech about the word but, Dan, and that's the greatest. Now I can't look at the word but anymore differently, and I'll just be like, I'm the guy that fixed that whole thing and now the world understands.
I'm the guy that fixed that whole thing.
So even though someone else probably told it to me and I'm just ripping them off.
Sure.
So the point being, yeah, this guy gives his little speech about I don't even remember what it was. I didn't write it down because it made me angry.
I mean, he was talking about how he's like 41 and working. I honestly don't get it. Let's move on.
He did say 8-bit is the shit. So
yeah.
that might catch on. You know, maybe we'll use it on here every week. 8-bit is the
8-bit
shit.
Is the shit.
It's a pretty good line. You know, did you come up with that line? No, man, boss level.
Boss level, baby. 8-bit is the shit.
So as he walks around, he disrupts the games.
Yes. Okay. Which feels like an intense tracker. I don't know much about like secret devices.
You think that's the tracker that's doing
it? Do you think that it's because he's in the machine?
I assumed it was because he was in the machine, but you're right. It is because of the tracker. It has to be because it doesn't happen later.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
right? Because
you're right.
Because then at the clock, when he's outside, he like walks towards the clock, and then it happens, and he's like, "They're tracking me." So I thought that that's how he figured it out.
You're probably right. It is the tracker.
But yours makes more sense.
Well, yeah, mine makes lots more sense, but it's wrong
physically.
But it's wrong. And so he takes the kid to lunch, and then the kid's like, "Mom says you're a badass," and he's like, "Oh, really? Oh my God."
I flip my shit out at this scene because he's like, "Oh, are you like the Liam Neeson?" And he's like, "No, he's the fake badass. I'm the real badass." But Dan, we haven't seen him be badass in this movie. In fact, he's really the one first scene.
Yeah, he had a guy with a coffee pot. He threw a knife and killed a guy in a helicopter.
So between this speech here where he's like, "I'm a badass, I'm the real thing, I'm the real McCoy," and then the speech that Naomi Watts gives earlier where she's like, "I see a lot of you in our son, your determination," and blah, blah, like those types of things. I was like, this guy should be like a John Wick level assassin. That's the way that they build him up. Or even, Liam Neeson and Taken. Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Either one. Like a guy who will fight through anything to get to what his goal is. But that's not this guy. This guy stops working at noon. He goes and gets drunk at noon. It's so dumb. He's not that guy. He's the opposite of that guy. Maybe he has the skill set, but he doesn't have the gumption.
And I really thought it was disrespectful of him to basically say Liam Neeson's like an asshole. I thought that was like very disrespectful of like the genre. He should have said, I'm even, but I'm him time, I'm him on acid, or whatever. Just like not even because he literally discounts him first.
Yeah, and totally belittles Liam Neeson.
And you're like, Liam Neeson in those Taken movies, badass.
Pretty, period. Yeah, because he is smart and good at fighting. Things that this guy is not.
And that, I mean, if you compare, you compare these two things, he's a steamroller. Liam Neeson's just like, I will not be stopped. I am always coming.
Exactly.
And that whole movie builds up. This movie does the opposite. It kind of like spurt.
Yep.
And they don't add up to much of anything. So he figures out that he's being tracked.
Spurt.
That's what this movie is. So 1:45, he figures out the tracker. He figures out it's in his teeth. He goes in the room with pliers and tears out his own teeth.
This is one of the only scenes in the movie that I loved. I thought this was great.
And I think this is the scene that if you knew what you were doing with this movie, you would have done correctly.
Sure.
It should have been a freaking horror show.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And it should not have been, he casually goes into a room and tears out his own teeth.
Yeah.
No human being can casually tear out their own teeth. No human being.
Dan, what is this movie rated? Did we see that? I don't remember.
No, must be.
Is there blood in this movie?
Not a lot. Not much.
Yeah. Like with all of the death.
Severed head, it has to be R.
But see, I mean, sure. But even when the severed heads, there's little to no blood. At one point, Mel Gibson cuts his head off and he's like, wow, this is really sharp. There's not even any blood on it. Like they point out the fact that there's very little blood in this movie. And with all the death, there should be like an element of like shock a little bit, not like too grotesque, not like a gore porn or anything, but like he should pull out his tooth and there should be some blood. Like it should be like, is this it? Like it should have. I don't know.
But that's the whole thing about this movie is everything is very bloodless.
Yeah.
And I am not a blood and gore person. That's not where I go to. But I want some. If you're going to try to make a movie about intensity, and you have a guy tearing out multiple of his teeth, and there's no intensity, I'm like, who cares?
I mean, he, literally at one of the times when he goes and talks to the sword lady, he pulls out his tooth, puts in what I assume is like a paper towel in his tooth, and comes out and is like, I need to learn how to fight with a Thor. Oh, I can't understand you. Takes it out, and it's the bleeding's done.
Yeah. It's terrible.
That's not how a tooth works. I don't think.
So he has the tooth out, and now he can use that tracker to sort of lure everybody to their deaths, which he sort of does. Then we get the Hitler's gun scene.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can talk about Hitler's gun first, and then the overarching part of this story. I don't get it.
What does
get? Is this funny, Dan?
Oh, you mean the Hitler's gun scene?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's another one. It's another one of those writer scenes where the writer was sitting there and he writes this scene and he's so incredibly pleased with himself or her. Maybe it was a woman. Felt like a man's writing. And he's just incredibly pleased. It's going to be Hitler's gun. Maybe he researched Hitler's gun and there really is a Hitler's gun.
Sure.
And he's made this character. Is that actress somebody too? I don't know.
I
didn't really look.
I should have probably looked up casting, but I didn't.
Yeah, and I didn't
care enough.
It just feels like really, once again, really soulless. I really was hoping he was going to shoot her hand off with the gun in it. I would have really enjoyed that.
Oh, that'd have been cool.
And that's a lot of these scenes. You feel like they didn't take them to where they could have gone. Where it's like that's Hitler's gun. I would have blown her hand off. Then I'd have picked up the gun.
Shot her with it.
And you have to shoot her in the face with the thing, or shoot her somewhere terrible. And I mean, you should do something terrible to someone that is carrying around Hitler's gun. That person should have a horrible demise.
Yeah,
and they should see Hitler's gun destroyed. Or it's just he should have shot the gun to pieces and then say, "How does that feel?" And then shot her other hand off. I mean, but this movie is bloodless, and so he just kind of kills her. Like, she isn't a monster. She's a monster. Then he starts... So he kills Roy number 2, and there's a Raiders of the Lost Ark bit. I don't remember what that was.
Oh, God. Again, what a not funny diatribe. Like, that is something that's so common knowledge at this point that needing to explain it in a movie is not funny at all. What a waste of dialogue. Everybody knows that Indiana Jones scene and why Harrison Ford did it, because it was literally Harrison not feeling great. Like, nobody cares anymore. That was a story 20 years ago.
Oh, this is when he's fighting Guan Yin in the thing. So, okay, so then he dresses up like Roy 2, and then he's slowly getting into the building. And each time he gets a little further and figures a little more out, driving a car, blowing things up, doing this, sneaking. And then he finally he figures it out, and then he gets to Guan Yin, and then she just keeps killing him. And we also meet Mel Gibson finally. Yeah.
So hold on. We got to back up to killing so when he gets the tracker out and he kills Adolf Hitler lady first, then like the very next scene before he goes to the base is like him piling all of the assassins into a van and then blowing it up
with kaboom.
We don't get to see him kill any of the other assassins.
Why? I mean, like the two African American ones. I don't think he ever kills them in the movie, does he? I mean, I don't.
Do they have another scene? They just have that one at the phone booth,
right?
No.
They have a couple scenes.
Okay.
He kills them this way one time, and then they
right,
appear.
sliding through the thing.
They're in a few different things, but we never really figure out who they are or what their deal is, or even why Roy 2 is Roy 2. We don't understand.
Yeah. So we literally skip what should be the most fun part of this entire movie, which is him killing all of the people that have been trying to kill him. Him getting his revenge is what I'm here to see. And we just skip it. He's just all of a sudden got them all in a van. He blows them up.
We skipped over something because, like I said, I took very few notes on this at a certain point,
Sure.
so I left off large plot points. So the tracker is in his tooth because the woman who he wakes up sleeping next to is a woman in the bar, and he has a memory at one point that the security guy is standing behind her while he's at the dentist.
Yeah, Will
and
Sasso.
She's putting... Will Sasso? Is that his character name or is that the dude's name?
That's the dude from Mad TV. That's Will Sasso.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Will Sasso is? Am I saying his name wrong?
I have no... well, if I knew who it was, I would say, yes, I know who Will Sasso is. I do not know who Will Sasso... I didn't really watch Mad TV.
What? All right, well,
I mean,
that's who it is.
Didn't watch Mad...
He did, like, the Three Stooges.
Oh, wow. Well, he's really funny in this movie.
He's not funny in anything he does, by the way.
There we go. Hence, he was on Mad TV. Boom, boom, chink.
Whoa, shots fired.
So he remembers that he's there. So basically, this whole thing is occurring with this tracker that the bad guy was just standing there, and the bad guy could have just been like, oh, he's unconscious, I will kill him.
Yeah.
Why would you spend...
I'm very confused.
Why would you spend $1 million to have somebody killed if they're completely in your control?
Exactly. That doesn't make any sense, Dan. Why? Just take him out. He doesn't even remember it, so no one's going to know where he is. Like, the only person that knows is the bartender, who you could easily also kill if you need to.
No, the bartender was from later. He went to the bar after he had dental work.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
No, you are right. It happens second in the movie in my defense, so it's confusing to me.
And more importantly, how did they know to set up this dental thing and that he was going to dental thing and that they had a tracker ready?
Is it the same day dental work? Because you're right, because he's at the Mel Gibson service the day before, and then later that day he gets
dental work.
He gets the surgery?
Well, he gets dental work, yeah.
Yeah, the dental surgery. Like, what? Wait,
yeah.
This makes even less sense now.
This movie doesn't make any sense. It's incredible.
I don't know where they are, Dan, but I tried to make a dentist appointment one time, and they were like, it'll be like 6 to 8 weeks before we can get you in. That's LA for you. I don't know where they are.
No, he had basically dental work that had to occur. He went and saw his ex-wife, then he went to dental work, then he went to the bar with the dental hygienist, then he went to bed, and then it begins.
Yeah, he did. Not alone. Okay, you're right. No, that makes less sense than I thought.
And then, more importantly, they're spending $1 million on hiring like people with helicopter. I mean, why are you hiring a person with a helicopter and a machine gun to go after him when you don't even know anything about him? Really, you don't even know why you would want to kill him.
Nope.
Okay.
They just know. This is dumb.
So
this is a dumb movie.
So he's finally getting to Mel Gibson. Guan Yin. He can't beat Guan Yin, so he goes back to the bar, and he says to Michelle Yeoh, "Teach me how to fight with the sword." And then he spends 14 days learning how to fight with the sword.
Yeah. Okay, we got to talk, because what the fuck are you talking about? I'm cursing a lot today, and I apologize to everyone watching this, but I'm very upset. He goes from being a complete beginner at swordplay to being as good or better than an assassin who literally spent her entire life learning how to fight with a sword.
Well,
that's what I'm supposed to believe?
He disarms Michelle Yeoh's character.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, the greatest swordswoman in the world.
He's better
right,
than.
You're right. I totally forgot that.
He's better than. After 2 weeks of practice, 2 weeks of 1 hour of practice. I think that about an hour before her flight. So after about 14 hours of practice, he's better than everybody in the world.
Dan, listen, you are making a time loop movie. You literally have infinite time. You can set it to be years. He could do the same thing for 8 years and learn how to be a great swordsman. Why do you choose 2 weeks?
Because they have this numbering system because they wanted to end at 250 or something. I don't know. It's because this movie's an idiot.
It's so frustrating.
So
idiot.
So now he goes back there and he kills Guan Yin, and then he's like, I smell muffins. And then he like pokes her. Oh, she says, I smell muffins. And then she says, now I'm blind. I like that joke. That joke was funny.
Oh, no, that's Will Sasso. That's the only time in the movie that I laughed at Will Sasso. I didn't like the muffins line, but when he's trying to pull it out, that's funny. And then he goes, and now I'm blind, and then falls down. That's a good joke. But other than that, really, Will Sasso sucks.
Now I'm blind. I'm like,
I'm blind. Great joke. More of that, please.
Funny joke. So then he starts to fight Mel Gibson, and Mel kicks his ass, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah. Because this guy's like better than Liam Neeson level fighter. So it makes sense that Mel Gibson would then kick his ass. This movie sucks.
Kicks his ass. And now we start on the part. If you thought the movie was bad up to this point, now it gets bad. You have to save your son.
Yeah.
What?
Why? Yeah. What do you mean?
What? Why would I have to save my son? Why would Mel Gibson's character set into motion this dude's kid, trying to kill this dude's kid? Like, what's that?
All on the same day.
All on the same. Like, what's that getting you? What does killing his kid do?
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, Dan. Oh, wait. We have to go back 1 second. My other favorite line happens in the same scene with Will Sasso, and that's when after Mel cuts his head off, and he's like, "Oh, that's short. What is that? A katana?" And she's like, "Katana's Japanese." And Mel goes, "Let's not make this about race. It's a sword." I won't lie. I laughed really hard at that.
One of the other things is he cuts off Dipshit's head. Shouldn't that just end the scene? Were there other scenes that continued on after his death?
No, Dan. As far as I remember, all other ones end with when he dies, because that's when he stops noticing things.
Because if he dies, time resets instantaneously.
That's right. We'll go right back.
Witty dialogue afterwards. Once again, a writer figures out a funny line. He leaves it in there, and we change the way.
You know what? Having said that, no, because every time I almost said her name wrong. What's her name? The sword lady? Guan Yin. Every time she kills him, she cuts off his head, and then she has
she does
I
get
am
to
Guan
do
Yin,
line.
and Guan Yin has done this. So
How would he ever know that line? How would he ever know that line?
But he also, I wish they didn't have that line in there. That's a great point, Dan. Like how... I don't know. Maybe they're taking into account like the chicken with its head cut off thing. So like maybe for a few seconds he's still looking around. He's
got like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never lost my head before. Who knows?
His head's still processing. I'm still thinking. I'm thinking. Now I'm gone.
And done.
Okay, so he kills Guan Yin. He kills Sasso. And so his kid. So he rushes to his kid. And then he does the really nice thing of attacking a bunch of police, which I thought was very indicative of who he is.
Yeah.
Is in his grief, he's going to attack police.
Yeah, he's a garbage human. Yeah.
Nice job, asshole. Feel sorry for yourself. So I think he feels sorry for himself for a while. Then he does spending time with his son. And then...
Well, hold on. At the end of this scene, when he goes to get his kid... Oh, wait, no, this is... Oh, shit, did I miss this part? Again, I'm kind of jumping over. But the first time, when he figures out the tracker,
yeah,
and then he, like, they all show up and are about to kill him, and he grabs his kid and like, protects him, and they shoot him in the back.
Yeah.
As he's dying, he goes, "I'm your father." What a selfish prick move to do. That kid, so instead of that kid just seeing someone get killed in front of him, now that kid has learned that you're his father as you're dying in front of him, bleeding in his arms. That kid's fucked up for life. What a dick move.
But he knows he's going back in time, so it doesn't matter.
Sure, he does live that way.
Trauma he's causing that kid, because you know what? He only lives for himself.
That's right. through and through, 100%. Sorry,
Okay.
anyhow, back to the future.
So now we have this whole sort of convoluted thing where the kid sent a text and the mom was still alive at this crucial moment.
Well, she left him a message.
Left him a message because the kid texted her and the mom left a message. So he knows that he has 14 minutes to save her. And so
which literally negates the rest of the movie.
Well, there's a couple of things. I'm going to say this is kind of one of the few things I liked in this movie because it forced him to actually do some lateral thinking.
Sure.
Because he always was thinking linearly. Now he has to think laterally, and he's like, I have 14 minutes. And this should have set off another chain where this should have been the final time, and he had 14 minutes, and this is the movie. The movie occurs in 14 minutes. And it should have been real time, and they should have had a way, I mean, you couldn't have done that. But because 12 of those minutes would have been flying over to the building, which, of course, lucky that building's 6 minutes by helicopter away, because not a lot.
Yeah, just happens conveniently located.
Yes. I mean,
if it was me to my work, that's like a 2-hour drive. In a chopper, it's still probably 25 minutes. She's dead.
She's dead. So he takes the helicopter. He spends time going down, pulling the machine gun and killing these guys when he only has 14 minutes, which in my math...
And he does a lot of walking.
Does a lot of walking.
He has no urgency for a guy who only has 14 minutes.
And basically, it's almost no effort for him to do the 14-minute thing.
And this is the crux of my entire problem, is that this is the one scene in the entire movie where we actually see him be this killing machine kind of guy. He John Wicks his way down those stairs. He kills 8 people. He jumps over some railings and does some cool stuff. And I was like, you're telling me that this guy died 140 times just randomly, and I don't get to see that? Because when he dies, it's always just they drove by and shot him in the nuts, which is it's a gag, but he doesn't do anything cool. I don't see him being a badass and still getting beaten. That's what I want to see. I want to see these people that are better than him, so he has to learn how to fight them. Anyhow, and also this all takes place in one shot, which is so dumb in a time loop movie. What?
Wait, what? You're mad at
this last section where he breaks in and kills everybody?
Yeah.
He does that in one take, basically. Fight. Yeah, the stairway fight. I mean, that's nice, one take.
I didn't ever watch the Daredevil show, but there's a stairwell fight in there.
It's a hallway fight, Dan. And
isn't there a stairway one too?
It's both. So he's a hallway, stairwell to hallway, and it's a magic long take. It's fucking rad.
How does this stairway fight compare to that fight?
This is nothing. This is mediocre. In general, the fight choreography of this movie is not great, which is what the thing that you need to happen in an action movie. You need to have cool choreography, stupid one-liners. That's it. That's all I need. I just need those 2 things. And I get 2 one-liners and almost no cool choreography.
And one thing I will say about Guan Yin is the truth of the matter is he's going to know what her move is, right? He's going to always know her first move. So he's just going to point the gun, and then she's going to do her move, and he's just going to go and just shoot her instantly. She doesn't have any magic skills. She's just a human being, and a human being at distance versus a person with a gun who knows what the person's moves are will always win. They'll have...
Well, if you remember, they kind of set that up when he gives the Indiana Jones speech and then pulls the trigger and it was empty and he goes, oh, fuck. And then he runs away and gets stabbed. That's hilarious. But then the next scene, he should have just been able to kill her, but it's fine. They let it run on a little bit. Whatever. They
wanted to do the whole thing where he learned to be the greatest swordsman in the world in 2 weeks.
It's all good. It's all good. 2 weeks.
A lot of sense.
I mean, I can do a lot of things in 2 weeks, Dan. I don't know.
So now we're at the end of the movie. He's done the thing. He's gotten to the girl. He's there in time. There's 20 minutes of them talking about what everything means.
Yeah,
and she's
just really hit the brakes right before the end of the movie.
And then he goes back in the machine, and then he has to do it one more time, which seems like it's the movie.
Well, it seems like that's the one you for sure want to see, because that's the only time that there are any stakes whatsoever.
Yeah, and by having him fumble on there being stakes, then maybe it meant something, but it doesn't. And this movie ends.
No, it didn't.
And you know what? You're glad it ended, because you did not want to see him do it again.
I see. I disagree, Dan. I would have liked to seen him do it once, because I would argue you never actually see him do it once.
Not really,
because this movie isn't a linear. Like, there isn't a one way to beat the day. I don't. This whole thing bothers me.
More importantly, in Groundhog Day, the thing you're not waiting the whole movie to see is to see him play the piano, right? You're waiting for him to win the girl, right? Isn't that basically what he has to do? He has to win the girl.
Yeah.
So that's what
essentially.
Your payoff is the change in him and the change in her and the way she reacts to him. This thing, there's no change. The change is just, I've succeeded in shooting the right amount of people in the right order and being in the right place at the right time. There's no actual emotional change, because the wife already thought he was a badass.
Which he isn't. Just for the record, guys, he's not. Sorry.
There's no realization. There's nothing that really happens. So this movie, and that was my whole point, is this movie's thin. There's not a lot there.
Yeah. No, there's almost nothing there.
It's kind of him has to protect his, and then he doesn't even have to protect the kid. And who's going to go kill the kid? Were the assassins killing the kid? He's like,
kid? There's no, at that line at the end, he's like, there's no one left. He's safe. And I was like, well, then who gives a shit? Why was he ever even in the movie?
Why, Tony? Why? So this movie is garbage. Frank Grillo's garbage. He's going to have to live with himself, and Tony's going to have to live with people loving this movie forever.
I will. And it's going to bother me. Every day I wake up, I check those Rotten Tomato scores just to see if people have come to their senses.
They have not. They love it.
They have not. They never will. These people.
Well, I think this is one of those movies, these movies I predicted, which are the Easter egg movies, which give you a bunch of little things. And so you're all like, well, maybe it's not Easter egg movies, but it's like people are going to be talking about that Hitler's gun scene. Oh, Hitler's gun. She's got Hitler's gun.
Probably.
So, and Ken Jeong, what's going on there? That was so weird.
I know. Why is he in this movie?
So bad. He's so bad he's becoming. Shannon and I were talking about him, and we're like, he's become a caricature of himself, and it's really embarrassing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time.
The Masked Singer, the Masked Dancer, all those shows. You're just like, Ken, have your agent give you something real.
But listen, Dan, he's making a lot of money. I would listen. I'll do anything they want.
Wouldn't we?
If you're going to give me some money, I'll do anything you want.
I will kiss Frank Grillo on the mouth if I have to.
I don't know, Dan.
Yes,
that better be a lot of money, because I'm going to be feeling those rubber lips for a while.
Anything else to say about this hidden gem, Tony?
Just don't watch this movie. Go watch Edge of Tomorrow.
Go watch Edge of Tomorrow. Again.
That movie is so good and so underrated, I think.
I disagree with you. I think that movie is one of those movies that did okay at the box office and has just grown and grown in stature and is now...
Oh, has it? Okay. It's kind of picked up afterwards. Okay.
That is a movie that I think people consider as a masterpiece. And I mean...
Okay, because I saw that opening night and I was like, holy shit, this movie is amazing. And it never nobody cared at the time.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared about that movie because it wasn't marketed right. And it's a near impossible movie to market because it's very complex, and the emotional story they go through is really complex. And Tom Cruise he acts the hell out of that movie.
It's Tom Cruise, baby.
Jesus.
I love Tom Cruise.
He's a great actor. And I mean that if you want to look, if you give him the material, like that movie gave him the material, he goes through so many iterations of who he is a sleazy scumball, and he has to like stop being that, and he becomes the hero.
He has to become a better person.
Yeah. And
just like this movie should have been.
I'm not a huge fan of the third act of that movie, the airplane and then the crash. It just wasn't. So much of the rest of that movie is so good that whole ending part, you're kind of like, okay, it's fine.
Sure.
Just like,
that's okay.
Her doing the push-ups and the thing, you're just like, oh my God, Jesus, wow. You're like, this is a magical character that I am intrigued by, and she's on the battlefield with the sword. You're just like, everything.
Kicking some ass. Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. This movie did not learn any of the lessons from that movie.
No, it didn't. Yeah, I don't know. When I saw this trailer and like read about it, I was very excited. I thought it was going to be like Edge of Tomorrow meets John Wick. And maybe that's why I don't like it, because like I went in with these unrealistic expectations, I guess, maybe. But
those are unrealistic.
Even though they're unrealistic, it's not like this movie even tried to do, like, it wasn't even on the scale of what I was hoping, in my opinion.
Well, it looked at those things and then it did what it thought made those movies great, and just didn't understand that without, it's like, oh, he has this emotional relationship with the kid and the wife thinks he's a badass, and da-da-da-da, it thinks it's those things. It's just when you really look at it, it is none of those things.
But it's not. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about some things we liked this week. I'm taking the category of documentaries, because we've been watching a lot of documentaries.
Oh, boo.
Because we're really cultured over here.
Over on that side of the screen,
over on this side,
this side is not cultured. And this is going to be a great dichotomy between us this week.
We're going to see the garbage sitcom noise that you think makes life good. I'm just going to mention 3. One's called Made You Look, which is about this whole art forgery thing. I think these are all on Netflix. Wonderful. Another one called Tried in the Media, which is a multi-part series. Really interesting one about Bernard Goetz, who was the subway shooter, which if you don't know about that story, it's crazy. And then, of course, Netflix's Allen versus Farrow, the Woody Allen thing, where I don't know that Woody Allen will have a career after this movie, at least in the United States.
I have to watch this.
Oh, it's like 5 parts. I mean, if we are to believe this thing, he's a child molester. And
well, I do believe that. Just without seeing, sight unseen, I believe
allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. Interesting.
It is such a takedown, and there's some stuff in there about media having influence in the law and politics that is terrifying. And
is this new?
It just came out. The documentary. Yeah,
okay.
It's new, but it's all the stuff that happened with Mia Farrow's daughter,
right?
And then and
I'll have to watch this.
I don't know that he's gonna ever. I mean, I'll never watch another one of his movies, and I think some of his movies are some of the most amazing movies ever made. And the way they take him down is very smart. I mean, it's all true in my opinion, but they also do it very intelligently. They don't just they take down the art and they take down the man, which is really interesting and powerful. And when you look at it, you're like, wow, that's really, really a smart tact of trying to take this man down because he should be taken down. Allegedly, in my opinion.
Allegedly, in my opinion. Yes. Good disclaimer, Dan.
Okay, tell us about something that means nothing, Tony.
Whoa, Dan, this is a cultural movement on the rise. Well, actually, this is actually the pinnacle of it. I don't know if you've been on social media in the last 3 years or so, but there's been a trending hashtag called Release the Snyder Cut. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League dropped on Thursday, and I thought it was amazing. I Loved it. It's 4 hours long, and it's still so. Before people come at me, it is still very Snyder. There's too much slow mo, and like it's not a perfect film by any means, but compared to that 2017 dribble that we got in the theatrical release, this movie is amazing. And I mean, there's some really great stuff in there. I loved it. It's broken up into 6 parts. So there's like chapters almost. So you don't have to watch all 4 hours at one time, which is great for people with lots of things on their plate. So you can break it up over a couple days. It's worth it. It's worth watching. If you have any ounce of caring about the DC universe, it's definitely worth it because it does fix a lot of things. And
I started watching it
Batfleck for life.
I started watching it, and there was like the 25 minutes of this echo going from place to place, and I fell asleep. I'll maybe try and go back and watch the rest of it. But it was like, okay, come on. So in that superhero vein, we're going to stay in the superhero vein for next week.
Ooh.
And we're going to do one of the other most recent, maybe the most recent real superhero movie, since that one doesn't really count since it was 2017.
Sure, yeah.
We're going to go take a trip to the Spider-Verse. Venom 2018.
Oh, no. Oh, Tom Hardy.
I love Tom Hardy. One of my favorite actors.
He's great. I
can't wait. I have not seen this movie. I know. I'm sure you have. So
I saw this in the theater, Stan. I made a huge mistake. I couldn't tell you a single frame of the movie. Looking back right now, like I don't remember it at all. But I walked out of that movie theater very upset.
And then you immediately went home and bought it on Vudu.
No, I don't think I own this one. I'll buy it if we need it. If it's not streaming anywhere, I'll buy it.
Don't you, Tony? I looked.
Do I? Maybe I do.
You bought it on.
Do I?
And you must have watched it at some point because it's near the end on the Vudu.
Well, my brother also has the password to this Vudu. So it's like a family affair. So there's a chance that he watched it. Because I watched this in theaters, my friend.
Well, maybe he bought it and maybe he watched it. But it's
I probably bought it. Let's be honest. I'm sure I bought it. But I don't think I watched it.
Yeah, because it's still like $20. There's no like $5 rental on this thing.
Oh, Jesus.
Which is 2018. Gross. I mean, have there been any
because nobody saw it, Dan. They're still trying to get their money back. Okay.
I just remember seeing the trailer and I was like, is something happening through all that mud? And you couldn't even see anything. It was like, I mean, I like the way the old Star Wars looks with the old film stock, but nowadays it seems a little absurd.
Just not used to it. You need those HDs.
So we're gonna go see this is fun. What Tom Hardy and his boy Venom have to do, and that's what we're doing.
It's going to be great. I'm ready for it.
So if you like what you saw here or you're a big fan of Boss Level, stick it to Tony because I loved Boss Level. Tony's the one that hated it. I thought it was a modern masterpiece.
You know what? I'll own that. I don't even care. Even if you did like it coming in today, I would have shit on it all day.
Leave a comment, leave a like or subscribe. And this has been Hate Watching with Dan Tony. I'm Dan.
And I'm Tony.
And thanks for doing all you do in the world.
Bye, everybody.